First item on the agenda is roll call. Mr. Nadeau, would you like to lead us in the pledge?
Yes, sir.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Now it's roll call. Mr. Moran is here. Mr. Rathel?
Here.
Mr. Mans?
Here.
Mr. Filarski, is he excused?
Yes.
He's excused. Mr. Hornby?
Here.
Mr. Loftus?
Here.
Mr. Nadeau?
Here.
We have a quorum. Next item on the agenda is the approval of the agenda.
Chairman, I move we approve the agenda as published.
Motion by Mr. Loftus, supported by Mr. Mans to approve the agenda. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed say no. Motion carries. Next item is the presentations. No presentations today, Janelle?
None.
Move on to the approval of the minutes of the August 21, 2023 meeting.
And again, I will recommend we approve the minutes as published.
Motion by Mr. Loftus. Support by Mr. Mans to approve the minutes of August 21, 2023. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed say no.
Mr. Chairman,
Oh.
abstained from voting since I was absent at that meeting.
Let the record reflect that Mr. Nadeau abstained. Next item is our financial report, the approval of the August 2023 financials. Our financial report is included in your packet, and we have a revenue is budgeted at $1,144,429. Our year-to-date revenue is $505,571, which is 44% of our budget. Our expenditures are budgeted at the same $1,144,429, and our encumbrances and expenditures as of the end of August are $769,024, which is 67% of the budgeted expenditures. Our capital reserves as of August 31st are $800,521. And our past due rent summary as of the, September 7th is $23,395. Janelle, is there anything you'd like to point out on the finance report?
Just a quick update on the status for Building 63, Suite 100. They are paid. The status of the 3,000 outstanding balance is paid. Once again, just a reminder, it didn't get removed, that the Hangar 2 office, that was just a change in a tenant. So everything is looking good. The Building 63 has a zero balance, outstanding balance as well. Just would like to note, I know that we had a conversation last meeting in reference to a collection agency with the Lattice. I think somebody had referenced that. I did speak to our attorney, and she said we were kind of beyond that point of any collection agency at this point. She said that because we already have a judgment, so the collection agency wouldn't be helpful at this time. So we could, if we wanted, we could subpoena, ask the defendants to come, and then they would do what they call a creditor's exam, where they would look at their financial documents. So I just wanted to let everybody know I did look into that, and that's where we are.
And is that run by our attorney?
The subpoena?
And once the people come in
Correct,
to do
yeah,
the credit check, our legal counsel would do that.
correct.
Here.
Mr. Rathel?
I know you provided it, but I don't remember. What was the total amount of attorney fees we have to date?
It was like roughly around $5,000, which was what we were trying to stay around. I know we talked about it last meeting, so I just collected the information.
So the question is, do we just walk away from the 17.6? What's the guy's name? John? What's his name? That was
Upton and Lattice.
John Upton,
John Upton, or no, it would be John Woodruff,
John Woodruff.
and I don't know.
Do we walk away from the
Chris
17.6
Upton.
and write it off, or do we go that next step of subpoenas and get them in front of a, because they would have to they would have to respond to that, right?
What
If you
happens if
get
they don't?
subpoenaed, right?
If you get
You don't
subpoenaed.
respond to a subpoena, you get arrested.
Yeah, it's
Right.
And a
correct.
bench warrant.
So can we find out how much it would cost to take that step with the attorney?
I can find out, yeah,
I think that's a good idea.
what that cost would look like.
Yep.
Okay, fair.
Now, so John
Woodruff.
Woodruff,
And Chris Upton.
and where do they live? They're not from around here, right?
I believe Woodruff lives in Southgate, and I think his family lives here on the island. I don't know if it's mom or who it is. And then the other gentleman, he lives in New York.
I'll task, but
Well, why don't I look at the cost, and then I'll let you guys know.
Any other comments or questions?
Mr. Chair, I do have another comment. So, I don't know if this is true, but I'm going to claim it is. And I've been around here long enough to at least have this pop out. I don't remember the last time, if ever, in a normal scenario of our budget year, where we have had over $800,000 of retained earnings. I think this is a first. I mean, we've had money come in, but we knew that it had to go out right away, and, but we have $800,000 of retained earnings. And man, I gotta tell you guys, man, you guys are awesome. I mean,
Good job, Janelle.
yeah, I mean,
We're gonna need it.
this is, like, I can't sleep at night if we get below 600, and it's been like that for a long time. And we're not ignoring maintaining the facilities. Yes, we pick and choose and we manage that. But it's not like we're not doing things just to build cash. We're building cash because of the investments that we made to increase our revenues. Thanks to Mr. Loftus, when he was supervisor, to fund a big project that brings in a bunch of money every year, and then also some of the other bigger. So, man, that's awesome. Just
Thank
wanted
you,
to
John.
point that out.
Thank you,
Thank you,
John.
John.
No, thank you guys.
Any other comments, questions?
Yes. We have a $3,000 item, which is probably more than 3,000 today, because that's beyond 30.
What are you looking at?
Has to.
At 3,000? It was actually 5,900. He paid the outstanding balance on it. Because it was there, so he owes October, but,
You came in and paid it, Greg.
yep, he came in, paid.
Good.
We have one
One
debt.
debt, and that's,
One debt. I don't remember the last time we had one debt.
so that's,
We had 800,000.
Yeah, it's like, this
That's-
is,
Retained earnings.
that's Lattice.
maybe you talk. Is Ann still with us?
No.
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 And the financial director
You know,
is,
I wouldn't carry this thing on the books past this year. I mean, I think we should write
Well-
it off eventually and then keep the collection effort hard. But there's no reason to carry it, in my opinion.
I mean-
We gotta do what
All
we
right.
I mean, do we know when the financial director is starting, Dave?
Scheduled for October 16th.
October 16th, so then I can bring it up with her after,
It's fine. I'm just,
let's let
that's my
her
opinion.
get situated.
She's gonna be drinking from a
She's-
fire hydrant.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Well, we
All right.
certainly can ask Ann, because she's been helping a lot, you know.
Okay, I can
And
ask
we can
her.
ask her, if it makes sense, does it matter to write it off?
Well, yeah, because you're gonna pay. No. See what she says.
I'll talk to people.
Anything else? Hearing done, I'll entertain a motion to approve the August 2023 financial report.
So moved.
Motion by Mr. Nadu,
I'll second it.
supported by Mr. Loftus. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed say no. Motion carries. Next item is our action item, which is the approval of the aeronautical and non-aeronautical leases. We have a recommendation that reads, based upon the recommendation of the Airport Commerce Park Manager, the Groseal Airport Commerce Park Commission hereby approves the updated aeronautical and non-aeronautical lease agreements.
I think we can continue the conversation that preceded this meeting. Those leases, if there is a possible anything that wasn't covered in that lease, and we're not getting our money's worth, because those are the longest, most tedious leases I think I have ever come across. Greg, you may do a lot more real estate stuff, but those are just.
You didn't find those riveting, Brian?
I've seen some
I found
longer.
the new words I'd never seen before, whomsoever, I've never seen, I'm 72 years old, I've never seen that word in the English language.
I fell asleep at my desk reading it.
Yeah. The undersigned and hereunder, it's just, I mean, no, I don't want to cast any aspersions on our attorneys, but if anybody was getting paid by the word, they did okay.
Actually, it's the culture of the new airport, okay, Brian?
Is it?
Get used to it,
No
yes.
stone left unturned.
I think it's a good idea that we've updated these leases. so
100%.
It's been
Yeah.
a while coming, and I think it's a good idea. I had one question, Janelle. I didn't see it anywhere in here. Maybe I just missed it, or maybe it's under our rules and regulations, but we had a situation where we had a tenant that was staying overnight. Is there a spot in here someplace that we make sure that that can't happen per our lease?
It is in there, and actually Greg and I had a conversation about it. Did you see my email earlier?
Yeah, I had a hard time with
Oh, okay, anyways,
guy probing me. So.
there, because it's a public use, that's not allowed. So the rules and regulations and the actually land use compliance is just not allowed. So it does reference that.
It's not a residential.
It
It's not,
references,
it,
it
it's
doesn't
not
spell
for,
that out in the lease.
it
just
says it's not
references-
for public use.
Yeah, okay.
Would be probably be a zoning violation. I mean, it's not a residential property without stating it, and you probably could say this is for.
It's a land, it's a land.
Business commercial
compliance
use is
issue.
not for residential use, but, I mean,
So,
Well, congratulations, Janelle. You are probably going to get your leases approved tonight.
thanks, John.
Anyone else have any comments, questions?
I think they're good leases. I see a couple wording questions, tweaks, maybe a typo, but, you know, overall, I think they're good, and I can get with Janelle, you know, and discuss those changes, you know, if we're gonna set up a master template.
Anything else? Entertain a motion?
So moved.
Motion by Mr. Mans,
I'll second it.
supported by Mr. Loftus to approve the aeronautical and non-aeronautical leases. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed say no. Motion carries. Our discussion items, item number 1 is the trees discussion at the beginning of runway 22.
2-2.
Janelle?
Okay, lead us on, Janelle.
So actually, I just got an update,
Oh, good.
another update. They did a nude survey, so I'm still, that is pending information, so it'll be curious to see what that unveils. But long and the short of it is, we have a couple of trees, as you guys know, and we're gonna be removing those. So as soon as I figure out how to do it,
These are the ones on private property.
they're on ones on private property. So I've approached them, and I'll approach them again, write a letter, and say they have to go.
You have approached them already once.
I did. I approached them one time.
So those homeowners are aware of it.
They're aware of it, and so I will have to, pardon?
Was there feedback?
Not only know, but
No.
Question, Mr. Chairman, do we have a
Nadu.
do we have a hammer to go with the request?
you got
What was-
state law. by law, those approaches have to be clear. They have to be accessible. And that's something, although realtors never tell that to a potential house buyer that, oh, by the way, you're in an approach zone for an airport and you're responsible for the height of any trees or, protuberances. It's just a reality. We had that with the trees on Round Island years ago, and eventually that got resolved. We could get, we've got the money for it. The state historically tries to make it as palatable as possible for the private landowner, but and they will maybe find some compensatory funds, or it might be ours, but you can't just look away from it, because if we don't do our job, then we inherit some liability. If they, I don't know if they resist, if they are exposed to any liability or not, but we've got nothing but problems with those approaches to runway 22. Almost no night approaches other than visual. And then
I think those are lifted. That's what we're looking into.
that's bad. But anyway, those trees have to be removed, or shortened or removed.
So Janelle, when the people are approached, do they get some kind of document that indicates that this is a requirement and we have the right to do that?
I will have to draft that letter to them. I think the question is do we want to offer any trees to supplement their trees, or how we want to do it?
Mr. Chair.
Mr. Rathel?
So Janelle, as we already talked about, okay, we're talking about 2 trees,
There's 3.
3 trees, okay? And we just had this issue come in front of the planning commission of neighbors kind of not getting along and not working things out. As I had said before, this is what you do. You and Derek can go over there, talk with them, work out a deal.
Yep, okay.
We don't want to threaten anybody,
No.
and it's not even legal either way, and it's,
Got it.
so as good stewards of our airport, but also a very good neighbor to all our residents, just go work it out and see what you can do with them. And I think that there's a solution to be had.
I think so
So.
too. Yeah.
Are these trees that just need to be topped off, or they need to be removed?
We're looking into, so the new survey that they just did will actually show how far they're penetrating up. And so depending on what that height is, but he's sending that on a different email, so I'm waiting for those results back.
So it could be either one.
It could be, but you also have to do some sort of plan to make, or like a growth plan to let them know when you're gonna have to address the growth in the future.
And they're old trees,
So
so
they're very old trees, so you may be in a situation where you cut the top of the tree and you're gonna have just one trunk. You're just gonna have it, there's not gonna be a whole lot of foliage. So, anyways,
Anything else to know?
no, not on that.
Move on to discussion item number 2, which is the Island Athletics roof.
So a quick update. So we did sit down with our bidder, Molnar, and kind of start looking into possibly different options to save upwards of $80,000 if we change our method. So what we did for Hangar 1 was a fully adhered PVC roofing. So we're looking to see if we can do some sort of mechanically fastened roof. But in order to see whether or not that's an option, they did a pull test today to see if the strength and integrity of the structure of the roof would hold. Yeah, it's like thermal, they apply it through thermal, like induction. So anyway, and the other thing that Molnar did is he took some core samples to figure out what the condition of the roof decking was. So we're waiting for those samples to come back to figure out how much savings that we may have, just looking into different options.
Mr. Chair,
Mr. Rathel?
So instead of gluing the PVC down, 100% of the PVC in the roof, it's fastened down mechanically. And they
Correct.
need to know whether or not the decking can support the fastened down mechanical connection and not blow off and pull away. But the reality of it is that even if they do that, we're at $750,000 now. And did they give you an indicator of how much that would save?
Well, it was like $80,000 for the thermal plates for the mechanically fastened. That
So-
would be a savings there. So the estimate right now for the roof replacement for the decking was like 15%. So they're trying to see if they can lower that percentage by taking the core samples to see the condition of the decking.
So best case scenario, in my mind right now, you're looking at over $500,000 still.
Maybe 550?
And you guys are gonna be surprised when I say this, but the airport, when we look at our investments and the long-term cost of our investments based upon the return that we get, the tennis center building has never made us money. It's costing us hundreds of thousands of dollars, and we've been subsidizing that building, not for the airport financials, but for the community at large to have that available.
That's right.
And when I worked really hard to get a lease with the rec department to take over that building, to allow the residents to decide the future of that by using it, supporting it. Unfortunately, that was removed from the table back during the last election and brought the building back to us. I'm having a hard time justifying, we just put $500,000 into this building, the roof, and putting in over $500,000 over there for no financial gain to the airport, for sure, a financial loss. And I really believe that the community has to decide what's going to happen with that building. Does the community want it? We can say, oh yeah, let's support it before the community, but does the community really want it?
What does that mean, though?
What does it mean? David, what does it mean? I mean, you're an elected official. I mean, what does the elected officials think about having that building for a recreational use facility in the community? If there's no benefit whatsoever to the airport, what is the benefit to the residents of Groh Zeal? So you're looking at the roof, right? $550,000. However, the issue continues on with all the exhaust fans need to be fixed. All the two end fans, the big ones on the east and west side of the
Correct.
building, have to be redone and louvered,
And the siding.
and the siding. So what am I saying? I don't know what I'm saying, other than it's just how do we do this? I mean, we've got runway projects. We've got 1735 that looks like we're probably going to get, maybe, hopefully, in 2025,
27.
2025.
I think 25. 25, we start the design of it, so yes. I mean, that's the idea.
That we need cash for.
Moving forward.
We got maintenance and T-hangers, we got maintenance around, so, I don't know, I mean, we're just discussing it here, but I think that there needs to be maybe a committee set up with maybe somebody from here, two people from here, David, somebody from the township, and get direction,
Somebody from rec.
somebody from rec. But it's not only, I think, unrealistic at this point, but it's unfair. And especially if this group of people right here sitting makes the decision whether that building stays or goes, whether the community has it to use or not use. That, in my mind, isn't right. We've said this every year that we do it for the community. We're subsidizing this for the community. We want to have a historic building preserved. We want to have this historic building add value to the community. We want that, and we subsidize it. But it's getting to the point where now with this roof, it's out of our reach. So do we just, this group say, nope, we're not doing it, and that's the end of the building? Or does the community come together and say, let's all figure out how to save this building? Or let's figure out if we want it. Maybe no one even wants it.
If the decision is to save it, or maybe people don't want it, aren't willing to pay for what it's gonna cost to
Right.
renovate it, and then we decide
Right.
that way.
Another thing I want to comment is, people go, well, the lease, okay, the lease. Let's double the lease, monthly lease, okay? We're still hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of thousands of dollars into the red. We can never generate enough money out of that building from usage in normal use. Maybe, some other type of business comes in and, that has a lot of money, but I don't know what that is. But anyway, just thought I would throw that out to you, of what's happening. And I'm just gonna leave it at that. If anyone else wants to give their thoughts on it, but
So Janelle, you're gonna find out the options that we have and give us a cost. So at least we'll know what the cost is gonna be to,
Open up a conversation, like John said, for committees. So, yeah.
Add the known costs, or known expected costs, the roof, as John talked about, the louvers, the fans.
Mm-hmm.
Amortize that out over a 20-year life of the new roof and see if we can get any rent. And if it's even remotely possible, we would get enough rent.
it's not.
It's not.
We've done it.
No, I
But
mean,
you
how
want
much?
to be able to show those numbers.
How much were those the heaters? I mean, they were like 80 grand. I mean, there's so much money.
Well, no, I mean, that's you're looking at the fans, which are up in the ceiling that are not working.
Correct.
The louvers on the
The
sides.
louvers on the sides are not working.
They're welded shut or something. And then you're looking at the heat
That's what I was saying. Like the
Yeah,
heat,
the heat is,
like
needs, new heat.
new heat. I don't remember how much it was, but it was tens of thousands of dollars.
Then we also need to look at potential cost of demolition, because if we go one route or the other, I will not sit here and let the thing fall apart and become a fire hazard, attractive nuisance for people to get hurt and killed in.
Well, as a, tennis player that's grown up there for all these years, and I love it still, but our fiduciary responsibility is to make sure it makes sense. And obviously, that's where we are right now. And I'd love to see that thing continue, but right now, we've got some hard decisions. We knew it was coming down we kicked the can for a while. And I don't know if the community's gonna, there's X amount of folks that enjoy the place and use it, but.
I mean, the schools use it for
Yeah,
cheerleading
well,
practice.
Sure, of course. It's a great
it's-
spot, but we cannot continue to subsidize it. As much as I like it, and I think I love tennis, but
So
it's our job.
Yeah, Mr. Chair, so I'm very happy, and I've always been proud of the fact, and recently learned that we don't even take federal tax money. Every single dollar that's come into this facility has been earned by the leases that we put together or grants from the FAA or MDOT which are user fee monies, not direct taxes. They're all user fees, right?
Correct.
We have never asked to go out for a millage. Whenever we had to borrow, we either borrowed from the township and paid it back with a lot higher interest rate than they were making, or we bonded, right? Can we go out as the airport for a millage? David's down there going, yeah.
Sure.
Can we go out for a millage specifically for that building? And I tell you what, if we say, okay, whatever that amount is, we're going out for it. If the residents vote yes on it, we fix the building. If they vote no for it, the building's
It's
gone.
on them. It's on the residents.
Oh, man, does that make any sense? Outside of the fact it'd be the first time in the history of this airport since the township has owned it, that we would go out for a mill or whatever, half a mill or whatever it
Is
is.
it correct for us to do it, or is it correct?
Have to
for-
go
For
to
the township?
Oh,
board
yeah, the
would have-
township would.
Township board would have to do it, right?
Yeah. Yeah, they would have to do it for the,
It'd be a dedicated millage for that purpose only.
thank you, Chris, for that.
That roof's been an issue for a number of years, and it was just a matter of time till we were gonna have to replace it.
Yeah.
Looks like that day has come, so we're gonna have to deal with it.
So how do we find this out, whether and when we can do it?
Find what out? Which part?
The mill.
The mill?
Millage.
Oh, David, why don't you and I get together tomorrow with,
I mean, the next time you could get it on a ballot would be for August of next year.
August of 2024?
That's what the next primary is.
But if that's the case, then what do we do in the meantime?
Patch.
Well,
Pardon?
I don't know about that, but, nothing.
Put a tarp on it?
No, I mean, I was there last night. It's not, yeah, obviously the weather's great, but, yeah,
I mean,
a little
it
warm in
it
there.
wasn't leaking last night?
Yeah, yes, there are some, some issues, but, you know, the heaters and some of those things, yes, they need to be fixed, but you can get by with, as long as the roof is somewhat,
Why don't,
Somewhat water repellent?
I mean, we can keep it, putting on a Band-Aid
Little
until
bit,
next August, if that's
Yeah,
what we
for
need
sure.
to do.
Yeah.
I mean,
But not a
We've been doing it for
$30,000
years and-
Band-Aid.
no.
Well, that's what the Band-Aid
Well-
costs.
that was the Band-Aid. That was how much the Band-Aid was.
All right.
So I think the decision needs to be if we're responsible for putting a Band-Aid on it, how much are we willing to do?
Well, I can start with the township board. If they decide they don't want to put up the millage, then.
Then we know.
Then we know.
Then we know.
Let them, let the board members.
Perfect.
respond to the
Okay.
public.
Yep.
So that-
Yep, okay.
Man, you should run for supervisor.
Tried it.
been there, done that. huh, Brian?
Okay.
Okay, we'll move on to our next item, which is the airport logo vector file.
Yes. Did you find it?
Oh, God, I'm sorry.
It was on here to remind
I
everyone.
know, and I
Does
saw
that-
it, and I went into my office, and I was gonna get it, or look for it, and I forgot. I'm sorry.
What is this item?
So, as you know, we're updating our website. We're just waiting for some issues to be addressed with our domain. But in the meantime, for the life of John and I, we can't find the vector file for our airport logo. And if we can't find it
For the website.
for the website, then, I mean, the only photo that we have is a picture of a badge, and the pixels are awful, so we have to address it.
I'll get it.
And you have it, John, you just haven't found it.
Yeah, because I did it when we
I'm-
did the patches years ago, and so, yeah, I mean, I haven't found it because I haven't looked for it, but it's on me.
I know, I was holding him accountable.
Okay.
I'm sorry, Joe.
So you'll report back to us, Janelle.
Well, John will. It's in John's hands.
Okay, we'll move on to the manager's report. The first item is the Taxiway A project update.
So, pardon?
Go ahead.
We are on schedule. We will be finished paving the approach to 2-2. It'll be done and reopened on Friday evening at the latest. And we should be starting phase 3 of the construction project in a week or two after that's all paved. But as far as we know, there will be no more closings, thank goodness, except for maybe a brief closing to paint it, put the stripes on, put the markings on. Other than that, we'll be hearing the crusher for just a few more weeks and we'll be done. And that's all I have on that.
Any questions for Chanel?
Hydro seeding's out there, has that good smell of fertilizer, it's looking good.
Hydro seeding is, yeah, the guys that's doing the hydro seed has been awesome. Dan K, I don't know if, but he's done a great job out there. The grading looks good out there. That's it for that. Any,
Next item is the update on 9155 Groh Road, Building 47, Freshwater Technologies.
so we have completed the architectural drawings. I did put an ad out on Sunday, which was the 1st. We have a mandatory pre-bid meeting on October 9th at 10 a.m. And bids are due no later than the 16th at 3 p.m., which we have a commission meeting that evening, so we should have something to talk about for that. That's kind of where we are right now with that.
Any questions for Janelle on that item?
Mr. Chairman, who's Freshwater Technologies? Is that?
Yeah, that's the potential tenant.
And there, what do they do?
This is the potential dog kennel.
Oh, that's them. Okay.
Yeah, Building
I
47.
didn't realize that was the name.
I started to try to put it on there versus the old sideline building to
Sorry.
switch
You
it out.
can't be changing names now after all these years.
How do you-
It's the sideline building.
Okay, but, you know, it
No.
might be the sideline. Or you guys call it skyline sometimes.
The chili place, but
I
yeah.
tell you, these changes around here I am not happy with.
Oh, sorry.
Moving on to item number 3 is the corrections made to resolutions for August 21st, 2023 meeting.
So I know that there was some conversations and the corrections on that. I just wanted to let everybody know that I did make those corrections. And that's all I have to say on that.
Mid-Michigan rental cars.
So I had a lot of questions over the past several months in getting Hertz rent a car here, Enterprise rent a car here, and they're not the easiest to work with. So during one of our GA roundtables, we have a couple of airports, just GA airports, one in St. Clair and the other in Port Huron, that have been working with this mid-Michigan rental cars, where they actually bring the vehicle to the airport. There's an app on the phone. They can just rent the car right then and there, and it's been successful so far. It's no cost to us. We don't have to deal with any insurance on it. It's just going to be an option for people to have availability to use a car that's not a courtesy car that they can take freely off the island. So it should be a good added bonus to us as soon as we can get that up and going.
So you're looking into making that arrangements to them to be able to operate here?
I was actually supposed to have my first car delivered this week, but the airport closed, so we are postponing it until someone else needs it. It's just going to be a trial to figure out if we have enough activity for it to make sense for them.
Let us know whenever you get that arrangement made.
And well,
Mr. Chair,
Mr. Rathel.
so if we do this, it's going to be a rental car place for the entire island, right? Anyone
would
can
be-
rent cars.
yep,
So we're going to have to like market this to, you
Correct.
know, the entire island, right? That you
Yep.
can rent cars now.
yep.
And are they thinking that the car would have to be delivered, or would we have cars available here that last minute kind of rental?
It would be available on site.
And
So the idea is once they figure out what kind of activity, how many cars we need, but originally we'd start off with one car and see if that car is always checked out. If we end up needing 2, they'll bring another one, and they handle everything.
And is Mid-Michigan, do they have an app that you rent on, or?
It's an app that you would go on, you rent the
Just like
vehicle.
a Hertz or
Just like a Hertz or whatever.
And then to go along with that, are you still working on the superchargers stations?
The
The Tesla superchargers?
That didn't go anywhere.
Didn't go anywhere.
What, charge port stations?
Yeah, yeah.
I mean, they would be charging us to install them.
And
Do we know a
we
cost
wouldn't
on
make
that?
any money off of them, though?
We would. I mean, I can reestablish and start looking into that.
I mean, I would take a look at it, you know, I mean, I would do the superchargers. I mean, that's where, you
Well,
know,
that would
it's all
be-
going, right?
That
The
would be
Tesla
Tesla.
chargers.
Yeah.
Which, you know, there's adapters and all the other cars are gonna be, you know, able to plug into that. But, you know, there's a lot of Teslas around here and,
Are they putting, I mean, did I hear a rumble that they were looking into charge ports on Macomb? Do you know,
There was
Ron?
some discussion about it, but I don't
But
think
it-
it went anywhere.
Didn't go anywhere either? Okay.
just thought, I don't know if it, you know, makes sense or not, but.
Yeah, I mean, if
think-
there's a return on it, it makes sense.
Excuse me,
We should look into it.
Mr. Chairman.
Mr. Nader.
Janelle, where would these cars, whether it's 1, 2, 3, be stored?
They would be stored in the parking lot over at the FBO,
Oh, okay, just left out.
left out
Okay, all right.
in the FBO. They'd just be available. I mean, we would be really hands-off.
How would they pay us?
Huh?
How would they pay us?
Well, it's just a service that we provide. They don't
Huh.
pay us.
How do we make money off it?
We don't.
We don't.
It's just a-
It's just a service.
For the entire island?
Yeah. Unless you want to,
That doesn't
It
make sense.
replaces the tennis set. We provide you.
It's like,
Clear that out.
We'll get rid of, we'll get out of
do
the
we
athletic
make money
business
from
and
Hertz
into
or
our
Enterprise? Who knows
Okay, you'll
where that's gonna go?
give us an update whenever you got more information on that.
And then last, not least, I was approached by Wendy at the rec department to hold the trunk or treat here, October 25th, from 5:30 to 7:30 on the north side of the parking lot, over in the north side of the hangar. So I know she's been reaching out to local schools and teachers, but it'd be the elementary kids coming here this year. She was switching it up. So just wanted
It's a great
to
idea.
let everybody know.
Quick question, Janelle, is this a school event or a rec event?
It's a rec event,
Okay, all right.
but the schools are coming.
Any other questions for Janelle? Hearing none, we'll move on to our next item, which is our subcommittee reports. We have none tonight. Any commission member reports? Anybody have any open business?
I have one question.
Mr. Rathel?
I'm sure that you or Janelle or somebody is on it, but the new sign looks awesome, but the C's not lit up.
Right.
That, that's being addressed or, you know, or.
Do we need to talk
Who-
to the sign company?
We do.
Okay.
You want me to reach out, or do you wanna-
Either one. I can do it.
I'm gonna let you do it.
I'll do it. I will give him a call in the morning. Commission Chair report, I have nothing new to report tonight, so public comment? No one in the public? Is there any other open business by anyone?
Oh, Mr. Chair, one more thing. I know we talked about the asbestos removal across the street, and that we were moving forward on that. I think they're gonna be out in the next week or two to address that.
Anything else? Hearing none, I'll entertain a motion to adjourn. Motion by Mr. Rathel,
I'll support that.
support by Mr. Mans to adjourn. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed say no. Motion carries.